bright in here today. Yep. So today I did a guest podcast with my old friend John. I haven't seen John in 7 years. And John does a YouTube channel, and he had me on his podcast as a guest. And it was a lot of fun. It was a good day. And yeah, during our conversation, it made me reflect on my own podcast quite a bit. This little thing I'm doing here now made me reflect on my own podcast and why I do what I do, why I started this, just my general orientation towards this whole podcast thing. And it just made me really reflect. And I started asking myself, why do I do a podcast? What is the purpose behind this? Who is this for? What audience is going to connect with this? And I've come to the conclusion that I am still figuring it out, and I don't know. And I don't have everything set in stone, and it's not picture perfect, and I'm not going to start crying or anything like that. But, it's just, I feel a little like I'm feeling it out, and still I'm a little lost in terms of how this works. But I started asking myself, what's the purpose of Give Me the Keys? What is the purpose of my little podcast hobby studio? Why do I do this? What is the purpose? Is it to entertain? I think about that, and I don't feel like I'm here to just entertain, I don't feel like I'm here to, I'm not the best guy for entertainment, I don't think, so I don't really feel like I'm here to entertain. Part of me feels that I do this to inspire people. That's such an odd thing to want to aspire towards, to inspire others. Maybe it's not odd, but it's hard to pinpoint how does that work. Entertainment, it's pretty easy to put imagery behind it. If you're going to entertain, you're going to sing, you're going to make jokes, you're going to tell a story, you're going to I guess entertainment is pretty broad, but if you're going to inspire, how would you transfer inspiration to somebody else? It's hard to turn that into a practical thing, so I don't know if I'm here to inspire. I don't know if that's really what I'm here to do. I'd like to be here. I'd like to inspire others, but I don't know if that's the main purpose of this. And then I thought, am I here to inform people? Inform them. Am I here to, have specific knowledge on something and present it, bring it to an audience and present it? And, is that why I'm here? That sounds like a lot of knowledge work. It sounds like a lot of prep and a lot of forethought and a lot of planning and outlining and, so I'm wondering why am I doing it? I don't know if it's to entertain. I don't know if it's to inspire. I don't know if it's to inform. Maybe it's all three. I'm still figuring it out, like I said. I don't like the idea of this podcast being for me. I don't like the idea of it being a selfish thing. I don't like the idea of me podcasting selfishly in terms of I do this I don't want it to just be an individual thing. It is very much an individual practice, an individual exercise. It's an exercise in, first and foremost, thinking. It's thinking in real time. It's an exercise in speaking. It's an exercise in imagining. It's an exercise in breathing. There's a lot of personal value in it, inherently built into this. But so much of the metric side of am I getting better at podcasting is related to an audience. It's related to reception. It's related to feedback. And so with that in mind, it becomes very easy to question, why am I doing this? When I started doing podcasts, it was very simple on why I was doing it. It was a way for me to essentially meditate and to become present and locked into a state of engagement, you know. It's very gripping in that sense. And I really was creating out of a very natural, fun, organic place when I first started doing these podcasts, because I didn't have I guess naivety was a little part of that, but I didn't have the hindsight of like the post-production mindset creeping in. Now as I create, at times when I create, I can get so meta and start thinking about the editing after I'm done, or I get wrapped up in how do I look, or I get wrapped up in self-doubt of I'm not being creative enough, I'm not being sharp enough, I'm not being as tight, I'm not being as it's not as good as I want it to be, and I can get trapped in that negative self-talk. And it can stifle your creativity, that's for sure. It can stifle your creativity. And that's a big reason why I started the podcast is to be creative. You know, being creative is tied to thinking freely of a script. It's like thinking outside of the realms of what's normal. And I feel like as I keep doing YouTube, as I keep creating videos, as I keep producing in this space, a part of me gets stifled in the post, in the editing, in the titles, the scripts, the thumbnails, the hashtags, the packaging of a YouTube video. It's like that stuff is so, it's cool, but it's like, I don't know, it just feels like editing work. And when I started the podcast, I talked about this all the time. I'm like, music and writing, it's so much editing, it's so much post. Like, I just want to be, I remember I kept saying that I just want to create freely. Like, and this was that format. It is that format, is the interesting part. This is still a format to be free. But my consciousness is plaguing me with self-criticism, self-doubt, and that's what consciousness, that type of mind chatter is what blocks out true creative consciousness and good consciousness. So I was also thinking about this. It's a rare thing to experience true silence in your life. And silence in the sense that you're noticing the lack of sound, or you're so undistracted, your attention is so undivided that you're actually focusing in on the current moment and the present moment. And a lot of times the present moment is coupled with silence. And I just thought, like, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, of society, of obligations and responsibilities and work and jobs and kids and family and clubs you're a part of and friends and the mail guy. It's like, to be able to slow down, I just wonder how many people haven't truly been alone in years. And I think the times I felt the most present and most connected and most spiritual in my life have, a lot of the times, they've come from being alone. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And just, I thought about the luxury of silence. How, if you're in a place where you can actually pay attention to silence, you're in a good spot. You could be, plagued with a lot. Doesn't take much for you to not be able to do that, if you're cat sitting or You're out at the grocery store. Oh, it's a bad example. It's just if you have kids or I guess a demanding job, it can be hard to break away from things and actually just be present and be silent. Podcast helps me appreciate just the just monotony of existence, I guess. But anyways, I love doing the podcast, but something about it is it's a challenge. It's becoming more of a challenge, you know. Ignorance is bliss. I kind of believe that. Ignorance is bliss. I think I forget that it's such an odd thing to do this too. I think sometimes I lose sight that this is an abnormal thing to do. To set up a camera and a microphone and then sit there and then think out loud in front of imaginary internet people. A really relieving thought is that no one, the idea that no one's probably going to even watch this. But that's sad because now I'm spiraling. I'm like, what's the point? I don't want to spiral here, but I guess I want this to be an avenue, and I want to remain humble as I do video, as I create podcasts. And I think it'd be very humble of me if I asked my viewers or watchers to direct me or feedback me, leave me a comment on different ideas on how things could, maybe not on how things can improve, but just, what are some things that you are interested in, or what are some things that you want to see more of? What are some topics or things that would provide value? I'm thinking more and more, how can I provide value through a video? How can I provide value through a video? I think vulnerability is a way to do that. Just telling the truth, being truthful. Tell the truth is if you're ever confused on what to do in life, just tell the truth. Just literally say the truth. If you're stuck at some point, just tell the truth. Just literally be honest with the fabric of reality. Tell the truth. But it's a fun little journey that we're on. This podcast, we're here now, we're doing it. I am in, my studio in Colorado. I am here. I am present. I am thinking, not even thinking. I am noticing how important the present moment is more and more. It's been creeping in the last few days. I will literally my mind will shut off. I will be captivated by some visual stimuli throughout my day. It could be in the car. It could be outside in front of my apartment. It could be at work. And everything just gets quiet, and I get very zoned in on the current experience, which is the now. And I just have a deep appreciation and deep longing to feel more of the now. And it's such a unique feeling.